So from my experience, when someone is new to buying Persian rugs, one of the main things they focus on is what is the knot density of this rug? What is the KPSI? Well, in this video, we're going to be talking all about knot density and hopefully demystify some of the concepts around it when it comes to Persian rugs. And just to make things a little bit more interesting, I want you to take a look at this beautiful Kashan Persian rug behind me and look at its details and its curvilinear pattern and all the intricacies in the pattern, and take a guess at what is the knot density of this rug. You could guess the specific KPSI, knots per square inch, or if you want to just guess if it's low, medium, or high knot density. And by the end of this video, we'll actually count the knot density of this rug together, so we'll reveal what it actually is, and I think it'll surprise you. So stick around and we'll cover all that now. Hi, I'm Sean with Catalina Rug. I'm a third generation Persian rug expert, and our family business, Catalina Rug, has been selling rugs online for over 25 years. We've actually bought and sold over 30,000 Persian and Oriental rugs, and for me growing up in the business, I learned how to have a deep appreciation for these beautiful works of art and extensive knowledge that I'm here to share with you. So with that, let's get into the topic of this video, which is all about knot density when it comes to Persian rugs. Okay, so first, before we dive in, let's do a quick overview of what we're going to cover in this video. So first, we're going to go over what is knot density, also known as KPSI or knots per square inch. Then we'll go over how to actually measure knot density. I'll show you step by step how to do that. And then we'll talk about some of the impacts that knot density has on Persian rugs. And we'll go over the misconceptions when it comes to knot density. This is a very important topic in this video. And then finally, we'll wrap up with some of the practical considerations you should take into account with knot density when it comes to buying Persian rugs. And of course, we're going to reveal the knot density of the Kashan rug behind me, and we'll actually count the knots together. So with that, let's get into it. All right, so let's talk about what is knot density. So essentially, knot density is how tightly the rug is woven. And the most concrete measure of this is knots per square inch, or KPSI for short. And it's basically taking a square inch of the back of the rug and measuring how many knots there are in that square inch, and then you get the KPSI. And basically, if you were to use like a easy analogy to understand, you could think of it as the pixels on your TV screen or on your phone screen. And essentially, the more pixels there are, the higher the resolution the picture is going to be, and the more details and clarity are going to be. So that's an analogy you can use to kind of understand what a knot density is when it comes to Persian rugs. So now let's go over how to measure knot density on the back of the rug. So all you're going to need is a ruler that has inches and also a pencil or something that you could feel the knots with. And if you're dealing with a rug that has really high knot density and it's hard to see the knots, then a magnifying glass could help with that. So I'm just going to take this ruler and I'm going to put it down, and first I'm going to just measure it vertically, and then I'm going to do horizontally. So starting with the bottom here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I got 13 knots going vertically, and then now I'm going to go horizontally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's going to be 12 times 13. So I'm just going to take out my phone and then just use the calculator. 12 times 13 is 156. So we know that, okay, so this rug in this area is 156 knots per square inch. Now, I would do the same thing and go over to like a flower or a different part of the pattern and measure that. You want to measure at least 2-3 different areas of the rug to get the average of the knots per square inch. And that's because depending on the area, it's going to have a little bit different knot density. So for example, the floral areas of the rug, or if you're dealing with like a portrait rug where like the face of the characters are, like those areas are going to have a little bit higher knot density. So that's why you want to just as best practice, take measurements of at least 2 to 3 different areas and average that measurement to get the knot density of the rug. So now that we went over how to measure knot density, let's talk about some of the impacts that it has on Persian rugs. So obviously one of the first things is that when it comes to having higher knot density, the rug is going to be able to show more intricacies and details if the design really requires that. So if the rug has a curvilinear design and it has a lot of details inside of the design, obviously having the higher knot density will show that off better. And it's basically, you know, again, going back to that pixel analogy, if you have a higher resolution on your monitor, or let's say for example on a camera, then you're going to be able to capture more of those details and show more details. Now, when you're dealing with a rug that doesn't require that many details, it's not really necessary to have high knot density. And then same thing when it comes to, for example, different patterns like geometrical patterns that usually don't have as many details and don't have so many curves like a curvilinear pattern or floral design rug does. So in that case, it's not really necessary to have high knot density. And another thing that high knot density does in Persian rugs is that it just gives it a higher visual sharpness. So the higher knot density will just make everything just a bit more clear and sharper to look at when you look at the design. And also something else that it can impact is if everything else is kept equal, the higher knot density rug will have a bit better durability. Now, there are plenty of rugs out there, for example, like Hariz Persian rugs or even Bijar Persian rugs that have a decent knot density. I would say, you know, low to medium knot density, but they are very durable, just famous rugs for being very durable. So just because a rug doesn't have high knot density doesn't mean that it can't last long. But if everything else were to be equal, the higher knot density rug is going to be more durable. And then finally, of course, you have price. So typically higher knot density rugs demand a higher price, and that's because more labor is required to make the knots in the rug, and the skill level of the labor is typically going to be higher. Again, if everything else is kept the same about the rug, then the rug that has a higher knot density will be more expensive. But just because the rug has high knot density doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an expensive rug. All right, so now that we went over some of the impacts that knot density has on Persian rugs, now let's go over some of the misconceptions of knot density when it comes to Persian rugs. So the number one thing is that knot density is not the sole indicator of quality when it comes to Persian rugs. There are so many other variables. And from my experience, typically someone who's new to the world of Persian rugs, they get highly focused on this metric because I guess it is a quantitative metric that they can see. And so it's less of a subjective way to judge a rug. And so someone who's new to Persian rugs tends to focus a lot on, what is the knot density of this rug? Is it a high knot density rug? But, you know, there are so many other variables like the design of the rug, the symmetry of the rug, or if we look at this rug, the Kashan rug behind me, if it's made in a special workshop, what is the material of the rug? Is it high quality material? How is the color combination? Like, is it a beautiful rug? How old is the rug? Is it in really good condition or not? These are all sorts of variables that will impact whether a rug is high quality or not. And actually, we've made a video going in depth into this topic. It's called How to Spot a High Quality Persian Rug. So I definitely recommend you check out that video to learn more about those variables. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to high quality Persian rugs, there's a whole wide range of knot density. There are plenty of older antique Persian rugs that are extremely valuable and beautiful and they have lower knot density. There are brand new rugs that have very high knot density, but they're not that high quality, they don't look that beautiful. So it really depends on all the other variables, so I highly recommend not getting caught up on this one metric. All right, so now that we went over some of the misconceptions when it comes to knot density, let's go over some of the advice I have for you when it comes to buying Persian rugs and their knot density. So my number one advice is choose the rug that you love. So find the rug that you love the most, that looks the most beautiful in your space, whether that means it's like the right size, it has the right colors, it complements your decor and maybe some of the other rugs that you have in your room. That's the rug that you want to go for. Just because it doesn't have a certain knot density doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy the rug. And really, I think knot density comes down to the pattern of the rug. So like we talked about, certain patterns, certain types of rugs like Haris rugs, or another example is like Karaja rugs, they don't even need the high knot density, and really they don't come in high knot density. They're typically low to medium knot density. So when you're dealing with these kind of geometrical patterns, is not even something that's very important because the design doesn't require. However, if you're dealing with, you know, a floral rug or like curvilinear patterns that have a lot of details and you can tell that the design really needs the high knot density, well, if the rug doesn't have enough knot density, then the design is going to look pretty blurry. It's going to not be sharp enough. But if it does have enough knot density for that design, then the design is going to be clear, it's going to look nice, and so that's how you know that the knot density kind of covers the details that the rug requires. So those are some of the things you should consider. Again, don't focus on only the knot density. Take a look at all these other variables and really choose the rug that you fall in love with the most. All right, so as promised, we're gonna take a look at the knot density of this Kashan Persian rug. We're gonna measure it together. Let's begin. I'm just gonna choose a random spot here and I'm gonna put this down. So first I'm gonna go vertically. So I'll start from the 0. So 0, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 16 vertically, and then I'm gonna go horizontally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's about 15. So 16 by 15, that's 240 knots per square inch. So like we discussed in this video, knot per square inch, the knot density of rug is not the main indicator of quality. This Kashan rug is definitely one of the most beautiful antique rugs that we have in our collection, and it has a perfectly symmetrical design. It has a really beautiful design, and also the colors are just like the perfect color combination, and definitely, again, one of the most beautiful rugs that we have. And the knot density, although it's a medium knot density, it does a really great job at displaying this design and the patterns. So I think this just goes to show that knot density is not the most important indicator. There's so many other variables. So this concludes our video. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and hopefully now you have a better understanding of knot density when it comes to Persian rugs and some of the misconceptions out there. And now you're going to be more focused on all the different variables besides knot density. And if you want to check out some really beautiful Persian and Oriental rugs, head over to our site, CatalinaRug.com. We have thousands of rugs in our collection. And like and subscribe, drop your comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.